Thank you to Max and Jason for the commentary. Yeah, Chelsea 0, Wolves 0, goalless at Molineux. Straight in with our hashtag for today, which is good point, question mark. Jason kind of said it at the end there. It's probably not the worst point in the world when you think about it. All in isolation, Claire. It feels slightly frustrating we've not won the game, but...
Yeah, you know what? I think the positives from it, clean sheet, right? I think defensively from Wolves, it was dogged performance, stubborn, mundane, yes. But I think they nullified our threats, didn't they? And I think, considering the circumstances, injury and COVID, I think, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to have to reflect and go, yeah, we didn't lose any... Well, we dropped 2 points, but I mean, at least we didn't lose the game.
Completely right. And again, you know, we spoke about it beforehand, but the fact the game was on was a big thing anyway. The fact that we've got through the game, probably, you know, there wasn't a huge amount of chances, wasn't there, in fairness? I think Jason and Max put it very, very well. Yeah, it was it wasn't a first up on match of the day game tonight. It was one of those where tiny differences could have caused it, and thankfully there wasn't one of those sucker punches that we've seen in recent weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't a game where you're going to look and pick out loads of highlights. In fact, you'll probably struggle to find any. But it's a point. You know, we are obviously Chelsea fans. We expect to win these type of games, regardless of the circumstances. We got better, I think, as the game went on. I think when Kovacic came on, I think we did dominate, but without causing too much of a threat. I feel like we were probing, but it wasn't meant to be today. And at least we didn't get sucker punched. And we've seen it so many times, you know, when you're the better team and then all of a sudden you're a goal down because you've really chased this match. So I'm not sure if it's a good point, but it's a point.
It's also one of those, you know what to expect from Wolves. Like Jason said, you know, they are good like that. Defensively, they're well structured, they're well thought out. They're kind of set up to play. The three centre halves are all 6'2", 6'3". Keep it tight, keep it steady. They're a good outfit like that. It's a little bit reminiscent to Thomas Tuchel's first game in charge against Wolves, where it was a fairly similar story. Obviously, finished goalless on that night as well. But we spoke about beforehand the importance. You've already mentioned it, of a clean sheet. Perhaps this is a basis to start from again.
You know what, I think sometimes, you know, it peaks and troughs in seasons, right? And I think we can only improve from this. We didn't concede, positive, yes, but I don't think we created as much as we normally have done. Not many shots on targets at all. Just a lack of fluidity. A little bit of lethargy as well, actually. It looked quite sluggish. I don't know whether the miss played a role in it. But I think it's an opportunity to bounce back, isn't it? Hopefully we can get more players back fit, more players fit and healthy. That's the most important thing, isn't it, at the end of the day, football aside. And yeah, I don't really want to be in that changing room right now because I doubt it's the happiest place. But look, it wasn't the worst I've ever seen. And on to the next. I think you can't dwell too much, can you? You've got to focus on what we did well, and then just move on.
Completely right. Well, you mentioned it there, Claire, but the game on social starts with the pre-match talk, which was obviously a lot around the game itself. You know, our biggest issue is we can't afford for this match to be postponed. It's catch-22, really. We either play with half our usual squad or risk an even heavier packed January, February. I'd rather play today, otherwise we'll end up the same situation in February with injuries and fatigue. It's very true, Dan. You know, that was the issue, and that still is the issue. You know, Chelsea have got so many games packed up. You know, we talk about the Club World Cup coming in. You know, we're hopefully going to go deep in the FA Cup. We're into the Champions League knockout stages. We've got Brentford in the week for the Carabao Cup. There's another 2 games coming in January. There's so many games that if we are in that contingent, Spurs have got to find somewhere to play 3 games at some point, and it's the same situation. But we don't want to get into that position where we're just displacing the issue, aren't we, really? Yeah,
you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you have to play these matches eventually. You don't want to play them with half your squad if we're being realistic, but you know you have to play them, and if you don't, then you'll end up playing them with a full squad, but you're going to have a game every other day. So it's a tough one. It doesn't really matter at the moment anyway because the game did get played. So we just have to kick on. We have to just hope that our players recover and that they're back and that we're able to have a full-ish squad for the games in January and February.
We're also joined by our overseas fan, Jonathan Tam from Singapore. Jonathan, it's we're just discussing it's a point. We'll take the point and we move on from it. It's a clean sheet. You have to take the positives from days like today, don't you?
Yeah, it's a clean sheet. Yeah, the clean sheet is important for us. As in, we need the confidence of getting I think our defenders, they have been conceding a few goals in the last few game weeks. So I think the clean sheet will boost the confidence of our defense. So in terms of attack, I think second half we played a better game, but we lack the final the clinical the go-to movement. But I think Pulisic had a shot which I thought it might go in somehow. But credits to the Wolves goalkeeper for saving it.
Yeah, that Pulisic chance was the big one, wasn't it? It was a really good save from Jose Sa. And I suppose you've also got the perspective of, it sounds really strange, but the fact that Wolves left it so late to bring on Adama Traore, Claire, was probably more of a sign that they didn't think they could hurt us or get to see that.
I think it's a sign of respect, isn't it? I guess their impact player. I mean, he's so electric, isn't he? And such a threat. Clearly, they were quite keen to keep hold of that 0-0, that draw, which is credit to us. But I mean, it doesn't help us, does it? I guess it would have actually been quite nice for the game to open up a little bit. So they were clearly protecting what they had, and that's all the game was crying out for, wasn't it? A bit more of a focal point up top, a bit more of open play. It never really got going, did it? I don't really know what happened during it. It was kind of, it wasn't end to end. It wasn't, there was no cutthroat, decisive movement. When Kovacic came in, he tried to create a little bit more, didn't he? And I think, the positives, you've seen Kante and Kovacic come on, and for me, I think they did all right. Yeah,
completely agree. Carrying on with the game on social, the first half, like Claire said, not a huge amount of action packed into it. Chelsea are actually struggling with the press so bad. I think there wasn't a huge amount of action either way, was there really? No. That's pretty much a lacklustre first half from Chelsea. I think that's the difficulty, Dan, sometimes, isn't it? You kind of get drawn into a game, and I think it'd be very difficult to be critical of either team because I don't think either team did anything wrong, if that makes sense. Yeah. It was kind of one of those games where it just cancel each other out.
Well, that's Wolves' game regardless. That is how they play their games, regardless of whether they're playing us or someone else. They play like that week in, week out. Our job was to make the game slightly more exciting and make them easier to break down. And we didn't have what it took today. We didn't have all the personnel that we might need, because for a team like that, you probably need to give them different looks. But on the bench, we didn't have enough options to be able to change the game or to be able to have a player that could stretch them like a Werner, or to go to feet with a Lukaku. So what we started with was pretty much always going to be what we finished with in terms of the style of play, and we had to hope that was enough, and it was enough for a point. But I mean, from the first minute, you could probably tell that was going to be a tough match and probably a goalless match.
Yeah, like you said, it did have that feel about it, Jonathan, didn't it? It was a game where both teams were cancelling each other out and sort of stopping any threat. I think that's Claire made the point about the bonus and the positive of having N'Golo Kante back in the side and Mateo Kovacic coming back on for the second half as well. The fact that both of those have got minutes in their legs and looked sprightly when they come on, looked healthy, looked fit, looked well is a big positive.
Yeah, definitely. N'Golo Kante looks like his usual self, which is obviously good news for us. And Kovacic is a player that we miss quite badly. So it gives us option along when Jorginho comes back. So we have our options with Kante, Jorginho, and Kovacic. And also, having said that, the point that we earn is, I would say that it might not be the most entertaining of matches, but I think that this is a well-deserved point. I remember 2 seasons back when we played Wolves, we got hit with a sucker punch when Podence, if I'm not wrong, scored a last-minute winner against us.
Yeah, you bang on. Yeah, spot on. Absolutely. Yeah, that was exactly it. Podence right at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember I watched that match and I almost threw something at my TV. So yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. It does feel like a point earned, really. I mean, second half was a different story, and I think it's been reflected on social media. We dominated and controlled the game, and largely down to this man, of course. Just give Kante a man of the match already. He's one of those players. We're so lucky we've had Kante for so long, been a heartbeat since he joined us. And again, more of these tweets just stating the obvious. You're absolutely right. He's absolutely unreal. He's one of those players, Dan, where even when you made the point when we were watching the game, he doesn't look like he's come back from an injury. You forget that he's been out for so long because he seems to hit that level, that Kante level straight away.
He hasn't even been in a squad, has he? This is the first time he's been in a squad. Yeah. And he's just done 90 minutes after missing half the season. He is unreal. I don't know what it is that he has that makes him that fit and that able to get back up to pace with everybody straight away. But he's a special player for us, and we are so lucky to have him, because he does the job of 2 or 3 people. It doesn't matter if someone else around him is struggling, he'll do the job. that tweet where they say he
Yeah,
gives
I was
the
going
ball
to say
away
that. That's funny.
just to win it back. I've seen him do it time and
He was
time
bored,
again.
so he was just giving it away so he could chase it, right?
We said as well watching the game, you know, there's times when Kante is in front of the back four, shuttling across, getting the ball, picking up and starting plays, and there's other times where he's making runs beyond Pulisic, beyond Mount to get the ball, and the Pulisic chance, which I'm sure we'll come on to, probably the best chance of the game for Chelsea, it's made because N'Golo Kante is chasing down an aerial duel with Dendoncker, I think it is. It's just, he's a monster.
He's just so mobile, isn't he? He's the engine. For him and Kovacic back there really do allow Chelsea to tick. I think the way we play it's credit to them too, and I do think we struggle when either of them are not in the game. But yeah, he comes back from injury, just bounces back, doesn't he? Clearly, he puts in a lot of effort in the training ground, and I think it's mindset too for him. I think if he knows what he's capable of, he can come on, even when he's not in his best. You know, he's breaking play up. He's still creating things. He's box to box. He's giving other players energy. Sometimes it's infectious, isn't it? And I think the way he plays is infectious.
I think as well, you know, something to said, you know, we dominated the game in the second half, down to Kante and Kovacic. Saul had a really good impact when he come on, and this has been reflected on social media. He looked a lot more comfortable coming on, and he's made us look a bit more steady too. You're absolutely right, Lucas, spot on, mate. Chelsea have looked better since Saul's introduction. Yeah, completely agree with that one, and got to say, Saul has done really well today. Dan, it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's so chop and changey, and he's played in a number of positions, and you know it's been a difficult start for him. I think even he'll admit that, and Thomas Tuchel said the same. But I think today is one of those games where you go, this is the player. You know, it's going to take time, because players do take time. All of them do. But today was when we started to see what he's really capable of, and he could be a real asset for us. That's
probably his best performance in probably the hardest and toughest game to play in, which is quite strange. But he's a top player. He is. He just has to be able to get used to the Premier League and get up to pace with things. But today he came on and things did change. It felt like we saw more of the ball. Fair enough, we might not have converted it all into chances, but we seemed to have control. I didn't feel like Wolves were ever really a threat to our goal like they were in the first half. So him and Kovacic did well. It almost seemed like we played with 5 midfielders up front in a way, because you have Mount, Ziyech, Pulisic, who generally all want to get the ball to feet and almost come towards their own goal and then get on a swivel. And what the game probably was crying out for was somebody who's a bit more selfish, someone who's a bit more of a poacher. And that's what it was, because Wolves were quite happy to watch us play football and not cause too much damage to them.
And it's hard, isn't it, for a player like Saul, who wants to get his passes off, wants to make that interchange play, when you've not got a centre forward to bounce the ball off, because, you know, Pulisic's looking for those little runs in behind, he's looking for the slide balls. When you've not got someone that you can bounce and get closer to, I suppose that makes his job a lot harder. So the fact that he's coming into today and he's played so well, that'll be a real confidence boost for him as well.
Yeah, you know, it's adaptability from him. I think it'd be a great boost of confidence, as you're saying. Also, when he started, I think he came with such expectation, it probably knocked him more so than if he hadn't hit that kind of bit of bad form. But coming into this, as you're saying, he has shown his adaptability. He showed the calm and maturity that we're going to need at Chelsea moving forward. And I just think he was creating things. He was quite brave, wasn't he? He wasn't afraid to take anyone on. And yeah, I think it's positive to see him. I'm happy with his performance today. One of the positives to take from the game.
Yeah, completely agree. Shown great character and mentality as well. He's really come out of it and he's done really well today. Yeah, really pleased for him. Another man that's always reliable, always dependable. Antonio Rudiger has been speaking to Matt Davies-Adams.
Well, Tony, that was a battling point, really. Not many chances for either side, but hard work and a point well earned.
Yeah, like, in our situation, that point it feels like a loss, to be honest. Doesn't matter the circumstances and everything. It's, doesn't feel good.
Not an easy game to prepare for, I'm sure, because of the circumstances.
Yeah, of course it's not easy, definitely not. But I think we still had a competitive team out there to do something, and we should have provided more chances to score, and which we failed to do.
First half struggled to sort of maintain any possession, but much better in that respect second half, and we grew into the game as it went on. If any team was going to win it, it was going to be us. Yeah,
the first half was very tough for us, was very, very tough. They were controlling the game, and but still they didn't have big chances to be honest. But the second half we had a good uplift, and normally we have to we have to do more out of this confidence that we came out with.
And from your perspective, good to get a clean sheet again, I suppose.
I'd rather win the match and get no clean sheet.
And for the likes of N'Golo Kante coming back from injury, managing to play 90 minutes today, that's just a testament to his general fitness and attitude to the game, I suppose.
Well, like, it's not easy for him because he's been out now for a number of time, and the same as well for Kova. And but they came in and yeah, they were lively, and yeah, that's very important for us because it's clear we need them.
Thanks for your time. Go and get warm.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
So that's that elite mentality, isn't it? You know, we're talking about being a good point, but you want players to not want a point. You know, you have to. We're being detached, and as fans, you go circumstances, but you've got leaders and characters who demand such a high bar from Chelsea. Tony Rudiger is exactly that character.
Yeah, and that's why he's now one of the senior players and one of the go-to players in this squad. And he's right, you know, the clean sheet is a positive, but the biggest positive is the 3 points. That's what you come to these games and you want. He's not even making any excuses. He doesn't care about the circumstances. We know it's difficult. It's still a competitive and good enough team. And we were flat today. And regardless of who's on the pitch, they will want improvements. And I'm sure we'll get them in the next few weeks. We've got a lot of football to play. So although we've not had a great couple of weeks, I'm sure we can put it right.
It kind of mentions our knee-jerk reaction, actually. Let's do that now, in fact, because can we just turn the calendar over to January? We've got so many games that we've got to fit in. January feels like it feels like a fresh start at January, doesn't it? And
yeah.
you know, not in case of not needing anything, but here December has been a really tough month for Chelsea. It has been. We knew it would be with the fixture pile-up, with the build-up, with this is before the added complications of COVID and everything like that. Jonathan, we knew that fixtures stacked up against each other were going to be difficult, but like we said before, this is Chelsea Football Club. We have to get through these tough periods, and maybe we'll look back in a couple of weeks and think that this point today was a good point. Maybe not as much like Tony Rudiger said today, but I think in the overview, it might look back and be a fairly positive result.
Of course, a point is a point, but of course we would like to have 3, but a point is a point, given the circumstance, like what you mentioned. I like the Rudiger interview that he mentioned that they are elite. They have the elite mentality to always go for a win. We have a competitive squad, and the team that we put out should be able to net us some results, I believe. So given the fixture along the mass number of games, I hope that the team can recover and players will come back and hopefully make the team stronger.
Completely agree. And the fixture pile-up doesn't really slow. That's why December's such a difficult month to play. We've got Brentford on Wednesday. What do you expect from that?
You know what? I don't think it's about riding out December for me. It's about just moving forward, just forgetting today, taking what we can from it. Brentford is another game that we should win. If we get some of our players back, then I think that we can win. I think we can only, as I said before, we can only improve really. Clean sheet, yes, a positive, but I think that elite mentality and setting the standards, if that message can be inputted into the changing room, which it already is there, they're going to know that they need more. So I think we're going to expect another go again and a more creative performance, I reckon.
That's exactly it, isn't it? We do have to go again. We do have to sort of set things up, and it's difficult to be in the predictions business at the moment because you never know what players are going to be fit and healthy, and we hope that all players are coming through it healthy and okay for it. But do you think when we get to this game at Brentford, maybe a few weeks ago, we're looking at playing fringe players potentially to make sure that everyone's got minutes in the bank and everyone's fit and raring to go? Now we're probably looking at who we can field, and maybe even looking at the opposite side, going to tell you what, let's maybe go a little bit stronger than we would have done to try and get us back on that sort of winning mentality, that winning route, that habit. I'm
not even sure if we've got that luxury. We might only have 15 players available. Yeah. You just never know because there's curveball after curveball at the moment. One thing's for sure, I think you want 3 points. So I think you'd play the strongest possible team that you can. You can't keep dropping points, and on paper
Cup game Wednesday, of course.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah, but you still need momentum. You still need to win. You want a clean sheet. You want a good performance.
It's important, isn't it, for the mentality?
Yeah, it is. It really is. Especially this is always a tough time of the year for younger players. As you get a bit older and you get towards your 30s, you're able to deal with this period a little bit better than when you're 22, 23. It's a long season. This is the part of the season where the weather gets colder and the matches get closer together and all of that, and that's where a lot of teams kind of drop off. So we need something. We need a good result against Brentford.
Let's not forget as well, Claire, that it was only 12 months ago we were going for a similar sticky period, and we ended up winning the Champions League. So,
yeah,
so I suppose there is a little bit.
He wants to win the Premier League. Champions League. Look, I think, as you say, it's a bit of a pattern, isn't it? And it does call for mature heads, experience, like the Thiago Silva, to calm the squad. I don't think we should panic. I still think we're in reach, of that top spot of the Premier League. Who wants to be leading at Christmas anyway? It's overrated, isn't it?
But the point's valid, isn't it, Jonathan? Because we make light of the fixture congestion, but we play Aston Villa on Boxing Day. We then have Brighton midweek, and then we have Liverpool on the Sunday. If you win all 3 games, teams can drop 6 points in a week, and all of a sudden you have a bad 5 days. You have a difficulty with COVID, and you have 4 or 5 players that are ruled out injured or absent, and then all of a sudden you can be back on their tails. Chelsea could be leading the Premier League by January the 2nd. That isn't sort of an unfeasible prediction, is it? Really, that's how quickly the games come. It can work in your favour as well as against you.
Definitely, Liverpool is playing next against. There's a Liverpool game next, and who knows what might happen. So in January, when the Africa Cup of Nations comes, then we'll see. Maybe we can do something better. But of course, Mendy and Ziyech will be a loss for us. But I think players will come back, and hopefully we can turn it around and go back to the top of the table.
Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right. It's only a matter of time, of course. That's where Chelsea live, mate. It's our natural habitat, top of the table. Speaking of top man, let's get to the manager, Thomas Tuchel.
Team's performance during it.
We started very well in the first 5 minutes, and then lost the grip, and we were late in challenges. We had problems to adapt to their shape, and still we did not give up. We tried. We overcame difficulties in first half. Second half was a good reaction, and we played a very good match. I'm very happy with the performance and the attitude in the second half. And that's why it's okay for me. It's tough to break Wolves' defense down. It's tough to create chances. We knew this before. We saw it before in every single match. So we knew that is maybe one big chance coming only, and you have to be clinical to get a win out of it. But we have a clean sheet, so there are a lot of positive things.
You had to make the substitution at half-time, obviously, because of the injury. Did you change anything else in terms of the system? Because it felt like we had a lot more possession of the ball in the second half.
We changed a bit in the system, and we were more disciplined in the position and in the system than we were in first half. And that made, for me, the difference. It's never the system alone, it's how we play it, and we played it with much more discipline. And we put in more life into our system. Unfortunately, it was another change. I hope that Trevor is not seriously injured, so let's see.
So you don't know much at the moment about Trevor?
No, the first impression is that it's very painful, but hopefully not serious.
Saul came on at half-time and added some stability to midfield, played very well.
Yes, he played well today, and in general we played better because the structure was better, the discipline was better in the structure. That's helped us to be better, to be higher up the pitch, and to impose our style of play, to increase intensity. We were in general better as a team, and Saul was an important part of it.
And for N'Golo Kante to play 90 minutes, given how little football he's had, anybody else, I suppose you'd be surprised, but maybe not N'Golo.
Yeah, us as well. We have a strong recommendation to play 45, which we simply ignored and let him on the pitch because, I mean, come on, we have seven players out with COVID. We have injured players out. It was not the moment to take one of the world's best midfielders out of the game because he's tired or something. No, it was not the moment. So we left him, and yeah, it makes the difference all the time.
Pleased to have kept a clean sheet and got back to that again?
Very pleased because it's deserved. I mean, for me, it's even almost a clean sheet. It is a clean sheet against Everton. Things like this can happen. We did not concede from set pieces for a long time. Against Everton it happened, but from what we allow, it's very, very good. Statistics are good and mentality is good. So, yeah, it's another positive thing about this game.
Finally, in terms of the Brentford game and Villa on Boxing Day, I guess we're just going day by day and we're waiting to see what the news is.
My opinion, My opinion is not important. We need to wait and see. I guess we will be tested and tested and tested, and hopefully it stops to have positive results, because this is what we all want, no matter if we play football or not. I hope it does, because we still are together in the dressing rooms and in the bus now on our way back. Fingers crossed that everything goes well.
Well done today. Thanks for your time.
Always very honest, very open about everything, isn't he, Claire? But he's right, you know, it's just going to be testing all the time at the moment, and then we wait and see. You know, we hope the football continues, but safety has to come first and health has to come first as well.
Yeah, I don't think you can really plan too much. Obviously, all the protocols are in place. Everything will be done to the highest degree. And, yeah, look, we can just lean back on the strength of our squad and the depth of it. I know we go on about it, and you know what? I think you can see his reaction. He seems quite positive, actually, from it. He seems quite happy, given circumstances, and I think that's going to resonate then, isn't it, with the squad? They won't be too panicky, unlike us.
No, that's the thing, isn't it, Dan? We were just chatting there while Thomas Tuchel was speaking, and I think it's 1 defeat in 10 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see our recent form down on the side there. The defeat against West Ham is the only one. Like, we're not talking about a period where we've lost 5 of 6. We're talking about a period where, realistically, we've 1 defeat in 10 or 12. There's 17 other teams in the Premier League that would absolutely cry out for that record.
Of course. It's just that we've got such high standards that we almost take a draw as a loss. It's literally how we take it. You know, today doesn't feel great, but it's a share of the spoils, and it's been that way for a couple of weeks where people have come and nicked points. They're not winning games, but they're just nicking the points, and we're just a little bit frustrated. But it's definitely nothing to write home about, nothing to really worry about. It's just one of those times where your patience get tested, and we'll have to go into a job in Villa and Brentford.
That's what we do. It's what we do, isn't it? Speaking of those, let's have a little look at what's coming up on the fifth stand-up over the next couple of days, of course. Yes, the manager, Thomas Tuchel, will be speaking in his press conference on Tuesday afternoon. Then Wednesday, 7 o'clock, we are live in the Carabao Cup against Brentford. So join us for that one for Matchday Live. And then, of course, once your fill of Christmas Day is done, make sure you join us on Boxing Day, 4:25, Matchday Live, away at Villa Park for Aston Villa. Yeah, looking forward to that one. 2 games in a busy week. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll speak to you soon. And obviously, pass on our best to James as well. Make sure you give him our love as well. Thank you very much for that, mate. Claire, superb as always.
Thanks,
Dan, brilliant as always as well, mate. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, no 3 points today, but a point on the road away at Wolves isn't the worst thing in the world. We go again Wednesday. Stay safe, look after yourself, and have a good weekend.